coal industry became one of the focal points of the 2016 election, with President Trump making the return of coal mining a central campaign promise.
We're going to save the coal industry. We're going to save that coal industry. Believe me, we're going to save it.
But in the span of just 1 year, 3 of America's largest coal companies filed for bankruptcy, and dozens of mines closed, leaving the sector reeling. So we sent Isabel Young to the heart of coal country to see what it'll take to revitalize this controversial industry in America.
We are heading right into the belly of a coal mine in eastern Kentucky, where they're extracting what looks like a hell of a lot of coal. We're a couple of miles deep into the mountain. I tell you, this is the most terrifying place to be if you're claustrophobic. Each side you can see these deep kind of caves. They've all been blocked off, sealed off. That's where they've already extracted all the coal they can. So we're having to go deeper and deeper into the mountain. Just moving in on this massive beast of a machine. You can just see a powder of coal coming down as they're drilling through the wall. And then there's just a sea of coal going along this conveyor belt. There used to be about 900 or so people working on this site at any given time. Now there's about 200.
Advances in technology have revolutionized coal mining, but this machinery, paired with the rise of cheap natural gas, has led to a huge decline in coal jobs. This has miners like Bridget Cowden worried about their future.
Coal has been in my family for centuries. You know, grandpas, great-grandpas. I remember when I was a little bitty, my papa would come in and he'd be all black. And I'd get in his little bucket pretending that I was in the coal mines. And that was when I was 5, 6 years old. But here, right now, you're lucky to get a job. I've been quite a few mines just in Perry County that's shut down because they couldn't afford it.
You must have seen a lot of people get laid off.
Yeah, a lot of good friends got laid off. You know, and it's hard. You thank the Lord every day for a job.
Are you hopeful that Trump's going to turn things around?
I'm hoping. He promised he was going to do what he could. And Hillary, I was for Hillary. I'm just going to be honest at first until she said that she wasn't for coal. And that was it for me. I didn't have nothing else. I was going to vote for Trump.
Do you think a lot of people felt the same way about that?
In the coal mines, yes, they did.
For the first half of the 20th century, coal was America's primary source of energy and a lucrative industry. But over the last 3 decades, coal jobs have declined 70%, and economists like Dr. Eric Brynjolfsson doubt that they'll ever return.
There's no way it's economically viable to restart most of the coal mines. It's simply a fact that coal has become uncompetitive versus natural gas and increasingly solar, hydro, wind power. So hard-minded capitalists are looking at that and saying this is not an industry that we want to invest in. And there's no point in trying to reverse that tide.
What's the significance of Appalachia and the coal country as a whole when it comes to the U.S. economy at large?
I think Appalachia is symptomatic of the biggest economic challenge that our society faces today. The powerful forces of technology are fundamentally transforming our economy. Cars are beginning to drive themselves. Machines are diagnosing diseases. This is a whole new ballgame, and it's having fundamental effects on the nature of the workforce. Sadly, I think most of the U.S. economy is not very well prepared.
Coal has not only been central to Appalachia's economy, but also to its history and culture. State Representative Chris Harris took us on a tour of his constituency, starting with a recently closed mine.
Most of the communities in eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, were built on those people who came here to work in the mines. There was a tremendous recruitment effort at Ellis Island to bring people to the Appalachian region to work in the coal mines because they could offer you a home to live in. They could educate your kids and give you a job. And those are things that people really wanted when they came to this country, looking for the American dream. People here they're not in love with coal. They're in love with the American dream, and it's being taken away from us.
Since the entire local community relies on coal, the ripple effects of its decline are being felt far beyond the mines. Terry Blake and her husband have owned this once thriving hardware store for the last 28 years.
This is what we've done all of our life.
How's business?
Keeps getting worse over the last 3 years, to the point where you wonder if you're going to be able to hold on another month.
How well was business doing a few years ago, and how bad are things now?
I'm off at least 35%. That's basically to say if you was doing $100,000 a month, I'm down to $65,000 a month. There is no profit left after that. So, I mean, it just trickles all the way down from the top. The coal mine shuts down, you know, it shuts something else down, then it shuts something else down, and that's where we're at now. There's no money left. The individuals that's living here have even had to take over the lighting system here in Warfield just to have lights at nighttime.
So individuals have to pay for the streetlights?
Well, yeah, because we have no money coming into our town anymore that paid for the streetlights. Coal is our industry here. This is how we make our living. When coal hurts, we all hurt.
And while the market continues to work against coal, the people who are hit hardest are often families who can't afford to leave. Virginia Williams and her family have struggled to make ends meet after her husband was laid off from the mines.
I found a job at 7-Eleven with both of us working now, makes up his one income. We've been getting creative a long time. So it's like spaghetti, you know, you can get $1 cans. But you make it do, some days it's a lot of potatoes. Well, the Food City card saved It saved you $2.08 today. That's a good deal. Hi.
I worked in the mines for 12 years. I was one of the unfortunate ones that got laid off.
John has spent the last 3 years in and out of work. For the past 2 months, he's been working as a contractor for a fraction of the pay. Is it steady work you have now?
Yes, it is. The pay is not as good as what the mines was. But
take a pay cut?
About $17 an hour difference.
That means at least $35,000 less per year for a family of 8, which has left John holding on to hope that coal jobs will return.
This is the last hat that I wore. I wear it underground. It's probably the same one that I would wear if I went back.
What do you think it is about working in coal mines that people from outside of this region misunderstand?
That we can afford to not have it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for being green. I'm all for solar power, wind power, you know, all that. But this community in this area is founded on coal. There's nothing else. And for it to not be here is disastrous for this area.
But it doesn't have to be. It now falls on the next generation to consider a future without coal.
I'm hoping that with technologies advancing and different things like that, we can establish our own sort of industry, so to speak, here, and maybe help bring it back. That's kind of the plan and kind of the hope, you know?
That's the dream.
That's the goal.
The Williams kids are enrolled at Belfry High School. In spite of significant losses in enrollment and federal funding, the school is working to provide their students with opportunities outside the coal mines. How do you guys feel about coal? I mean, growing up with it and seeing the decline of it over the last few years.
One of our advantages is disillusionment, you know? It's we've always kind of known what's at stake, and we've always kind of known that you need to do good in school and you need to go to college because it's not going to be there. Everyone knows how hard it is right now. All of a sudden, people have had to shift their life views from saying, I'm going to be a manual laborer to I'm going to go for a larger education. And a lot of people are scared about that.
So you think, like, the value of an education has increased?
Yeah, as the need has increased, the value has increased. So it's why they've tried to start new initiatives, you know, start from scratch. And one of those things is technology.
With no reliable future in coal for graduating students, the school has tried to add more classes in technology and business that can potentially create new industries in the region. So what is this you're doing here?
Well, what we're doing is we're 3D printing custom foot orthotics for different foot disorders like flat foot.
What we intend to do is get the prescriptions from the podiatrists and fill the prescriptions with a scanner. We intend to make a business out of this.
What do you think the solutions are when it comes to fixing the future for Appalachia?
We need to embrace this change and not try to freeze the past. There's no better time in history to be someone with an idea that can be encapsulated in a digital form and replicated. But that requires a revolution in our educational system to transition people there.
While an investment in education could help save Appalachia's future generations, its current workforce is hoping that a revolution in entrepreneurship and technology in the region could capitalize on the thousands of people struggling for jobs today.
Hillbillies coding is like the Jamaican bobsled team. It resonates in people's imagination.
BitSource founders Rusty Justice and Lynn Parrish believe cultivating a tech industry in Appalachia can diversify the economy and create new jobs. From an outside perspective, it's not an obvious fit to go from working in a coal mine to coding. How easy is it to train people who have worked in coal mines to code?
A lot easier than you might think.
And how does this work compared to your previous work?
You know, something you have to understand is that mining is a high-tech industry. So it's not a radical transition, but, you know, it's also a scary transition, you know, to go at my age. It's a culture shock.
While BitSource only employs about 10 former miners, it does show the region is eager to expand programs in new industries.
When we had the idea, then we thought, well, maybe we can find, 50 folks that will apply. This is just a theory. So we advertised, and we had 950 applicants for 10 jobs,
wow,
which speaks to the magnitude of the problem.
Emerging startups like this rely on federal funding through programs like the Appalachian Regional Commission. But President Trump has already proposed to slash these efforts from his next budget, leaving it to the people of Appalachia to move the economy forwards.
The strategy of trying to go backwards into the past has never worked for the United States. The successful strategy has always been to embrace the future, embrace new industries. America's been the greatest economy in the world, and we have the potential to continue to be the greatest economy. But it really depends entirely on our choices.